Hello everybody, this is Kimberly. I'm not going to try and get in the frame too much today because I'm feeling a little under the weather. Why I'm doing this I don't know, but I am. Okay, so I have a new design out there. I already stitched out the placement, so let me trim these while I'm telling you about it. I have been doing the zipper pouches, for the last year since I got really big into embroidery. And one of the things I always noticed about them that I didn't like is that you end up closing them down here at the bottom, and it has a very awkward close, and it's hard to make it look good, just by the nature of the way they've always been designed. So since February, I've been really big into watching bag making and wallet making on YouTube, and I saw the concept of turning the bag through a zipper pouch, and I thought, wow, that's awesome. You don't have to deal with that. Nobody cares if the inside of the zipper pouch, looks a little funky. So I've been working on trying to figure out how to do this on an in the hoop project ever since, and I finally figured it out. And I want to share that with you. You're going to get a nice card holder. This is a 5x7. I am still finalizing, waiting for testers on the 6x10, and more excitingly, there's an 8x12. I may even have that done by the time you watch this YouTube video. I have a couple of bugs to work out on that, and it's going to be awesome. Very excited for that one. But this one will accommodate business cards and credit cards, and it has a pocket. So it's a cute little carrier to take with you, throw in your small bags, what have you. I am using vinyl today for the outside, but it's perfectly fine to use fabric, and my instructions will have all that details in it. So today what we're using is we need a piece of FOE, flexible, I can't remember the O, but elastic. You're going to need 2 pieces of fabric that are 6 inches by 5.5 inches. They're going to be folded over so that they're 3 inches by 5.5 inches. I recommend that you fuse it. I use SF101. I only used it on half of it. You could use it on the full amount if you want it even more stiff. And then I put the fuse both side on. I did top stitch with my sewing machine. It just gives it a cleaner finish. But if you don't have a sewing machine, it's perfectly fine to skip that step. Just make sure it's pressed really well. The lining of the bag, we need 2 4-inch by 5.5 inch fabrics. You may interface these if you'd like. I didn't. It's just the inside lining. You only see it through behind the pocket, so it's not that important. You need 2 4.5 or 4 by 5.5 inch. Technically, you need 1 4 by 5 and 1 3 by 5 if you want to be really frugal with your fabric for the zipper pocket, but I just cut it both 4 by 5.5. And then you need 1 piece of vinyl or fabric, interfaced fabric, 5.5 by 7.5. And oh my goodness, I think I cut this. No, I did. Whew, thought I cut it too narrow. Got a little scared there for a minute. And then you need 1 zipper that's wider than your frame. So I think this is a 9-inch. So that's there. And I'm going to sneak a few pictures on the way for my PDF because I've made a few changes to the pattern since I originally stitched it out. And I want to be able to capture that to update the PDF. So we're going to start. We stitched this out, and you see we have our upper zipper and our lower zipper. This is just to help align the zipper teeth. It's not really that critical, but it's part of my template that I use on all my zipper bags, so I just keep it in there. Sometimes it's important and sometimes it's not. Again, I like to go in and extend the lines, and it's better for a marker, but of course, when I'm getting ready to do a video, I can't find a marker. And just so it makes it easier to see when you're lining up, this will be relevant later. With some pen. I hope I have you in the right frame. Okay, so we're going to start with taping down our zipper. We want to make sure that we have it even, and I'm actually going to stand up because my last time I did this, I did not have it very well lined up. And we want to try and keep it as neat as we can. So I'm going to stand up so I can see this really well. I'm making sure that the metal piece of the zipper is all the way out of the stitch path, and the placement line is nothing will be stitched on the inside of that stitch path. So that placement line that you just stitched down, you can use that as your demarker. There will be nothing stitched past that in the final project. Just make sure that that zipper is taped down nicely and doesn't get bumpy. And I did see a tip on some of the bag making videos that I've watched that you can actually use a steam iron and press your zipper and it'll be a little bit neater. Who knew? Never thought to do that. One of those new things. So we're going to take our zipper. I'm going to cut away these little extra jump stitches. Those will cause us an issue later, and we don't want to deal with that. We're going to take and line up the top of our zipper pouch. This is going to be the top of our zipper pouch. Turn it upside down, right sides together with the stabilizer. So this is a solid, but if you have a printed fabric, the printed, or as Crafty Gemini likes to call it, the pretty side is going to go down. And it's upside down, backwards. Take that down. Might want to use another piece of tape. I normally use my pink tape, but I left that upstairs with the big machine, so today we're just using Scotch tape. It works well for all my snap tabs. Now you're going to take one of your lining fabrics, and again, we're going to do this right side down. I really should have used printed materials to make this easier for you. I believe I did in the PDF though. I believe the sample I did in the PDF has printed materials. But I have since changed this a couple of times. So you're going to have a mixture of bags in that PDF. Now, one thing I wanted to point out, we're not really stitching on the middle of this at all. So you can actually use a pin to help hold this in place so that it does not buckle underneath your machine bed. Just make sure it's out of the stitch path and make sure it goes through the back and then through the top. We don't want that scratching against your stitch or the bed of your embroidery machine. I'm using my Janome 350E today. We'll see and be excited if she can get through all these layers. She's been inconsistent on zipper bags. And I keep getting a message that my bobbin is already out, so if you guys are like me, you want to take that to the last stitch. And since we're not doing any fancy satin stitching or anything here, I'm just going to wing it until we run out. I'll keep an eye out on it though. Alright. I will say I hate the way this connects to the frame connects to the machine. One of the things I do not like about this Janome. I guess that's not too bad of a deal. I got such a great deal on it. So we can remove the tape now from both sides. And you're carefully going to finger press this down. Now, I actually bought one of those fancy dancy new Dritz mini irons. I have not actually even taken it out of the package yet, but I don't have the place set up here to do it anyway. So one thing I didn't highlight for you, there's another stitch down here. Maybe kind of draw the line there too. This will be relevant later. Okay, so go ahead and pull this down. Carefully finger press it because you're working against your stabilizer here. And I'm not going to tape it because we're going to pin it from the front. So you can turn around. Same thing with this pink one. So funny. Oh, I'm laughing at myself. When I looked at this zipper upstairs, and the lighting upstairs, it seemed like it was exactly the same shade as this fabric. And I got all excited. I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. Oops, I missed a piece of tape there. It's not the end of the world if you have a piece of tape there, but I saw it. I got to get it. So I'm going to finger press as close to that zipper as I can. But see, now I'm looking at this, and they're not even the same color. Oh, I took the tape from the top down prematurely. I have found if you do not keep this tape, zipper tape that is, taped it down when you do the next step, it gets wonky, and we don't want that. So I should say the next step after this. So let's go ahead and put our pin in here again. Hold the fabric from underneath, come in, and bounce it up. And these long pins really work well for that purpose. Save yourself some tape and aggravation. This stitch is going to top stitch the front lining down and also the zipper pocket. I actually prefer to have 2 stitches at all times. If you're going to put any kind of stress on these zippers pouches, you need it to be able to support it. If you only stitch it down one time, that's just not enough. Okay, I'm going to leave that tape there, and we're going to flip this over, and we're going to do the same thing with our zipper pocket material, but this time we're going to line it up with the top line. Now in this case, we are going to not end up flipping this up. Most of the time when you're doing this, you're doing a flipper or a bag, and this is the lining of the bag, and you're going to flip it, stitch it and flip it, and then your zipper opens up in there and all that good stuff. That's not the case here. The case here is we're actually making a zipper pocket. So carefully turn that over, and you can redo your pin. So I'm going to tape my other lining right side down and line that up with the top of the zipper. If you need to pull this away and look at it, that's fine. Stand up, whatever you need to do. I'm going to go ahead and grab all this below and put this pin through it to hold it all in place. And you can tack another piece of tape down there too, just a safe measure. You know, it's Christmas time, pick up those big boxes on sale, and it'll last you all year. Make sure nothing is flipped over underneath. This stitch is going to be the tack down for the top lining and the back zipper pouch pocket. And I should mention I'm using pink. All the thread colors are different in the stitch out, just to force your machine to do tie-offs. But you're going to use whatever fabric color, or I'm sorry, whichever tape thread color that makes sense for your project. Okay, we can go ahead and remove this tape now. Remember, you have a piece down there for the zipper too, so get both pieces and get it out of there. All right, we're going to pull this up, fold it up, and finger press it again. Okay, now this time we are not going to fold up the zipper, because this is actually the other half of our zipper pocket. So we're not folding that back up. We're just folding this front up, and we're going to take the next step, which is going to, sorry I came off the frame a second here, get out of the view. The next step is going to top stitch this down. You really need that top stitch. It not only helps keep the fabric from bunching up into the zipper, it adds a professional finished touch to it. If you buy any bag, you can tell the difference between a cheap bag and a professional bag by the finishing touches. All right. Now we have this pretty much zippered, or just stitched down enough. You can kind of take the tape off these zipper ends now. All right. So now, excuse me, we are going to do what makes this bag so magical. And I'm telling you, if anybody else has one like this out there, I've never seen it, I've never heard of it. So I'm not copying anybody. As far as I'm aware, this is an original idea on my half. So I was kind of excited about it. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull this pin out, and we're going to pull this fabric up here out of the way. And again, you can either pin, or I'm going to just tape it down. And I'm going to put the pin back down here, right through the center. I do not want my zipper pocket to move, but I don't want it to bunch up either. So there we go. And here's what's going to be the good part. So we're going to stitch, oh, before we do that, oh, glad I remembered this time. I keep forgetting. So I mentioned earlier I drew these lines for you, right? Take the time now to go ahead, and you're going to fold this fabric under, this lining under, until it meets that line. and do a light press. And this one's going to fold this way until it meets that line, or meets the other fold in this case. So you want those two folded pockets right on top of each other. Okay, so do you see what I did? This bottom one I folded under, and this top one I folded on top. So that you can, this will give us a clean edge when we're all done to stitch together. So I'm actually going to take a picture of this real quick if this phone is working. Oh, it's not. Oh, okay. I'm going to have to stand up and take a picture so I can add this to my PDF, because this is a little chip that I figured out on the way and I have not done it. So let me fold this up. And sorry guys. Oops. I'm going to have to hold it out of the way so I can get a good picture of what I'm doing here. Thankfully, you can do this now with the phones. You can take a picture while you're doing a video recording. If you didn't know that, on the iPhone, there's a little white button that shows up. Okay, we're actually going to use this tape to hold this down while we stitch the next piece. And you can always trim that seam allowance if you need to. Again, I made the pockets a little bit taller just to do, I'm going to put another piece of tape here, just to give you that cushion. You may not line up well, any of that kind of stuff. Okay, let's put this under here and let's run this next step. So the problem with trying to create this bag was I wanted it in one hooping. I don't know about you, but I get scared off when I see two hoopings. I don't want to be fussing with it. Now, as I say that, the 8x12 will require two hoopings if you do not want to use your sewing machine. If you use your sewing machine, you don't need to use two hoopings. So this is the trick to this bag. We are zipping the zipper pocket together now. And it's through that we're going to turn the bag later. All right, let's make sure we didn't pucker it up. We didn't. Let me trim away these jump strings out of our way. Those will be a pain to deal with when we are actually turning the bag later. We can pull this tape off. We don't need that anymore. You can push this back down. All right. And now let's take this jump strings off, remove this tape. And actually I'm going to leave that tape there because since we have it folded up, I don't want it to get puckered up or anything. So this is the time you need to trim away your pocket. So get your scissors in there and trim away to about 1/8 inch away from that, all the way up following the curve. Do not cut through your stabilizer. And you can just cut it off to the side here because it's actually a little bit off out of the seam allowance anyway. So you want that about 1/8 of an inch. You see that? And we'll do the same thing on this side. And you know, if you're not perfect, don't worry about it. This is going to be on the inside, and if you have to, you can always glue it shut or anything later. I'm going to switch this. For some reason my son's phone's not charging. I'm going to get this plugged in here because my charger is dying. I do not want to die on us. Sorry about that, guys. Oh, my tripod is moving. There we go. Okay. Alright, so there we go. We're all trimmed. We're going to leave that tape in there for right now until we're done. We can take this tape off up here though. So any tape you see that we don't need anymore. Or you can wait till the last minute. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and stitch out the pocket placement lines. And if you have a big machine, I would do them in a contrasting color so it's easier to see. But I don't want to fuss with changing the thread So I'm just going to do the same color, and I'll try and get it real zoomed in close for you to see it. And I would recommend doing the same color just in the case that you see it behind the pocket. You don't want to see a different color. And when you're up close to it, you will see the threads. Yeah, I see all that thread wasting there, but it's either long jumps or change color each stitch for these machines. It is coded to have a tie off in my pattern on the big machines, but that doesn't work on these little machines. It may work on some of the single needle machines, I'm not sure. This is the only one I have. Okay, now here's going to be the critical point. You want to pull this zipper pull in to the middle of the pouch and tape it down so it doesn't jiggle jaggle around on you. Okay, take your lining, or I'm sorry, your pockets, and again we want to make sure the firmer side is up. So, and right here is the pocket markers. I can see those on here, and you will be able to see those on yours. And make it so that your fabric just covers them. We don't want to see them from the outside. Tape your pocket down. I think we should have a stock in Scotch tape. What about you? Between this tape and the painter's tape, we all like our tape. All right, put that down. And this video is for those who learn by video and by seeing. You know who you are. Some people can just follow the PDF, but others, like myself, prefer watching it and seeing it done. I learn better by seeing and then doing. Okay, this is going to be a basting stitch. It's going to go all the way around. It's going to tack down those pockets and close off your zipper. I did not design this for vinyl. I don't remember if I mentioned that earlier. There are so many of these little pockets out there in the hoop with vinyl. The problem I have with vinyl is when you use those patterns, here's a piece of marine vinyl. This is Joann's, so it's a little heavier. But look how floppy that edge is. And as you work, pull and pull on that, it's going to stretch over time. And that may be cute for a small little project for a little kid or something. But, you know, I just can't see people using that on a long-term basis. Right, I'm going to go ahead and trim off this extra zipper tape right now while I am here. And, you know, this is a little bit short, but if you have longer zipper tape ends from doing projects like this and you're using a long zipper, save those. They make a really cute way to decorate a pocket top or something like that. Okay, we can remove this tape now on both ends because the basting stitches got us down. And now we're going to go ahead and run. And I didn't really even need to remove this from the hoop, to be honest. I could have just left it there. But I did, so that is. There it is. Let's leave this in here. We're on the next step. Okay, and the next step is going to be for our FOE placement. And this is actually my second video doing this because I messed up the first time and had it in the wrong place and upside down. So, and this is going to be the time when I pause to take another video. So there we go. It's kind of hard for you to see, but I can see it. Hopefully you can see that. There's the placement right there. And you're going to take your FOE. Where did I put my FOE? Oh no. Oh, there it is. It's on the floor, guys. Whoa, so sorry. I almost just destroyed y'all. I'll be a pro at this YouTubing stuff before you know it. I really will. Trust me, I will. So I'm going to have to hold this and grab the tape too. I have the cord plugged in and it's causing some ruckus over here. Okay. Let me do this again. Sorry about that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and put the FOE face up on these two lines. All right, I think we're stable now. So, okay, so here's what we have to imagine. This is the bottom of your case, and this is the top. This is going to fold down, and this will be opposite. So when this folds down, we have the unicorns going face up, they're going to be opposite. So we need to put unicorns upside down. So let me grab the tape. And I'm actually going to put a little bit of tautness when I tape this down. I made the measurement exactly 5.5 inches, but I want it to be a little bit tight, and some will get caught up in the seam, but not all. So I'm actually going to pull it just a smidge so that it's a little bit stretched when we run the stitches. Just tape it down. All right, so see that? All right, up, see, I need a little bit more tape, it came up. Try this again, make sure it's over your mark. Really press it down. Okay, put it back on the machine and run the tack down for that. So likewise, when you're using a directional vinyl like this, you have to think about the same thing when you're putting on. Which side is going to show when you fold the wallet closed. Alright, now we can remove all the tape. And before we add the exterior pocket, or I'm sorry, the exterior lining, we're going to give ourselves a friendly helping hand and cut into our zipper pouch a little bit. So I have my seam ripper here. And then we can remove this tape as well. Keep your tape on your zipper pull though. Some machines might vibrate enough that that zipper pull could come out of, unfold itself and cause you a headache. So pull this up, and you're gonna be able, if you pull this up, you're gonna be able to see into the stabilizer there, and just get your seam ripper or whatever you're using and get it started. You don't need to cut it. You don't need to trim a lot of it, just enough so that you can get your finger in there when we flip the bag. Okay, so now thinking about our vinyl again, remember what we talked about. If we do it like this and we fold it down, so let's imagine here, if we put it this way and we fold this down, this is going to be the top and it's going to fold down this way. Our unicorns are upside down. So we need to actually put our unicorns upside down to begin with, and I'm going to snatch a little picture of that. So put them upside down, layer it on here, and make sure you don't have any pins left in here. I did take out the pins, and center this on top. At this time, it's worth noting you might need a bigger needle. The funny story here is that when I bought this Janome, I did not realize that it had a 9014 needle in it, and I just finally changed the needle. So all this time I've been doing all my vinyl and stamp tabs and everything, it's had a 9014 in it, and I don't have a 9014. I only have 7511s, but it did seem to go through this fine, but it's only one layer of vinyl. So we're going to run this next step. Okay, and one more thing to note. there's a final step after this. You will not stitch that step out. I added that just to prevent your machine, if your machine is like mine, it's going to try and recenter itself right here when it's all done. And when it does that, if you have a zipper pull or any hardware in there, it's going to get all jammed up. And I almost broke this machine doing a test because I didn't realize it did that the first time. So I just add that final step and just ignore it. Do not stitch it out. And this is a bean stitch, so it's nice and secure. While it's stitching, what we're going to do next is take it off. We're going to trim it to seam allowance about 1/8 inch all the way around. We can notch the corners to get a cleaner finish, and then we're going to turn it inside out. Now, when you're finally done, if you have a sewing machine, I do recommend top stitching around the entire case about 1/8 inch in. It gives a much cleaner finish to it. If you don't have a sewing machine, it's totally not necessary. And all you'll have to do is close up that zipper pocket some way. You can use glue, permanent basting tape, or stitch it by hand or stitch it by machine. I'm not gonna lie, I like to use the permanent basting tape. It holds up really, really well, and it's easy. Okay, see, now it's wanting you to go to the next step. Ignore that. And I'm gonna go ahead and pull this, turn this off now, and pull this all out. All right. Now you can take all this tape off the back. Can you see how nothing's stitched it down, or nothing stuck it down? You can actually pull this up to get the tape off. And if you're using the pink tape or masking tape, it's painter's tape, it's much easier than this. But like I said, I forgot to bring it downstairs with me. And I forgot the zipper one time, so I just didn't want to go back upstairs again. So the Scotch tape works fine. You move it all the way around, and you know, I have some big chunks of stabilizer here, so I'm actually going to take the time to trim it a little bit neater, or well, pull it off, because you can reuse these. It's so big that you can actually reuse some of these chunks if you need to add additional stabilizer somewhere to give it more support when you're doing satin stitching or something like that. So don't just throw all this stuff away. There's plenty of time you can reuse it. This here again is 360 from Pellon. I like it for the bag projects because it's soft, but this bag, you're not keeping the stabilizer in on purpose, so you actually don't need to use this. You can use the regular medium tearaway. Do not use a light. A light is not going to work for you because this requires, there's some weight here with all this fabric and vinyl, and that light is not going to work. So you can go ahead and tear away all this up here. Hope you're still seeing me. Yes, you are. And I'm just tearing away stabilizer. Just get the big pieces off. You don't have to be really, really tedious about it. It's going to be on the inside. Nobody's going to see it. Now come down here and carefully, I like to actually get started with my seam ripper. Carefully start tearing, separating this away, because we don't want to cut the stitches of our pocket and have to re-stitch that. And the same thing over here. Use your seam ripper and get in there and get started and tear away from it, and then pull it out, and then tear all the extra stabilizer out of here. And always try to tear carefully so you don't tear your stitches. And I'm not even going to worry about this extra stabilizer in here. It's fine. This is not going to get washed. It's not going to go through and shrink on us, so there's no sense in worrying about that. Okay, so everything's snugged around. Right, now we can go ahead and trim it. And again, we're going to trim about 1/8 inch away. Now, do you notice anything different about this pattern? Did you when you looked at it? If you have already looked at it and you've already purchased it, I actually curved this up slightly on both ends. And the reason I did that, it's not an accident. It's not a digitizing mistake. It was done on purpose. I have noticed so often when I do zipper pouches that the point of pulling in there, because the construction we're doing, it pulls in the center of the bottom and the top. And I hate that look. It makes it really look like it was all done in the hoop, which, okay, it's fine. We did do it in the hoop, right? But we want to be able to sell these and have them hold up to people who are doing it traditionally. And when you do it traditionally, the design is, the technique is slightly different. And usually you're doing something different with the corners and it doesn't pull in as much. So I just made these slight curvature and it made a huge difference. Now I did get really close on that particular corner, but this corner, there's some room for narrowing it down. So I'm just going to get in here with my scissors. These are the Westcotts. They have the really sharp point all the way to the end. And I'm going to make some notches here. Do not cut into your seam allowance. Just cut around it. This makes a huge difference. If y'all ever have some time when you're bored or you just need help falling asleep at night, go to YouTube and look up Ruby Yea. Y-E-A. Don't understand a word she says. She's a bag maker. She's hysterical. She laughs at herself. She's just enjoyable and she has an amazing following. In fact, I think she has more subscribers than any bag artist or designer that I follow elsewhere, like here in the States. And people from all over the world watch her and beg her to get a translator. And oh my gosh, you guys got to watch her. How she does stuff. She doesn't use an iron. Everything is just right there at her machine. She has all her pieces. She rough cuts her pieces and she cuts her interfaces. She interfaces almost everything. She interfaces is the right sizes. So then when she stitches, she doesn't have to think about it. She just stitches right along the interface. She doesn't have to pay attention to her seam allowance or anything because it's all built into her, the way she designs it and the interfacing. It's just, she's amazing. And you can't understand a single word she's saying, but she's so enjoyable to watch. Okay, so now we've got that all trimmed. We notched the corners that needed it. Now we're going to reach inside here. And can you see in there? There's the little hole that we started earlier. Reach inside there and let her go. Carefully remove that tape we had and finish opening the zipper. Carefully. We do not want to tear our pouch after all this time, after all the work we've done. And I haven't found that any particular corner makes any difference, but just go at a corner and just start working it through. This printed vinyl, it folds beautifully. I have no issues turning it. It's a little stiff, so be patient. Go slow. This is going to take you a few minutes, but it's okay. What else do you have to do? Just sit here and enjoy it. Make up a whole bunch of these. And then one night when your kid is really upset and giving you a hard time, you just need a de-stressor that you don't have to think about. Do some bag pulling. Do some bag flipping. You don't have to think about it. You just work it. And you just massage the pieces together. And, if the seam comes undone on you, it's okay. It's the pocket for the zipper. It's an easy repair. Just stitch it up, glue it. Don't worry about it. But just go really slow and gently. And if you find a piece of tape you missed along the way, just like I just did, I don't think it's going to let me get it off, but just pull it off. Okay, and when you turn this inside out, or I should say right side out, a lot of times the pocket has a tendency to stay with the exterior. It's not a problem. It'll just fold it over the right way. So, I got lucky this time. It actually folded out perfectly the right way. So just keep working in there and get your fingers inside that little zipper pocket and work your bag in right side out. I do that because my son's always saying, "Can you turn this inside out, Mom?" when he means right side out. And I'm working really hard to try and get him to say the right word, but I have a really bad habit of picking up accents and phrases and even hand gestures from people. So when somebody says something like that, it sticks with me. And God help me, even bad words. Oh, I picked up some pretty bad words in my years, and it's hard to not say them once you get used to saying them. Okay, now that corner, I'm okay with that. It's not really perfect, but I didn't bring the, I usually use my knitting needle, or you can use a what do you call that, chopstick. I lost the word in my head. But you see how here, now because we gave that extra little bump out, it's not pulling in as much as it does on other bags. All right, work yourself down here. And work that little hole out, that corner. Make sure it's neat. I hope I did the FOE right. It's upside down. It's backwards right now, but I think that's because we haven't flipped it over yet. Y'all are learning with me today. Like I said, this is what happens when you discover a technique yourself and you have to stitch it out and you want to do a YouTube video on it and you're like, well, I don't want to make 5,000 of these things. So you do a YouTube video for each attempt that you think is right. And if it didn't end up right, you delete it and start over. And that's what I did today. All right, there we go. She's all done. Now you can go ahead and finish picking out the stabilizer from here. And there's a little thread there. Sometimes it just breaks off, but in this case it didn't. And that's from that center part that in this particular project we didn't use, but it's there. It actually usually helps pull the stabilizer out too. Do not use the scissors in there. Learn from my mistake. I used scissors one time to try and get it out, and I cut my zipper tape, and you're done then. When you have a project like this, you cut the zipper tape, you're done. So I still have that adorable bag and trying to figure out what I'm going to do with it. Okay, so now all you have to do, if you pull this out, and you see since we took the time to fold that down, you have a nice little pocket already to stitch up and close. Hand stitch it closed, machine stitch it closed, glue it closed with fabric glue, whatever you want to do. And then you're going to put that back in. And it tucks away down there. There's your zipper. You're going to fold it. Oh, I didn't get it in there neatly. You'll put yours in there neatly so you don't feel it through on the other side. Fold it. Your unicorns are in the right direction. We have a slight little give on this. Oops, I missed cutting a jump string in there. Why didn't you guys tell me? Oh, and look at that. On the back, they're right side up. Although the unicorns are upside down on the back, but that's okay. And there you go. So open this up, and you can put in your business cards. And your credit cards or your store cards. Then you have room. You can even put your bills in there. You have room for change, your driver's license, whatever. I would give this a nice steam press with your iron from this side, the cloth side. Maybe use a pressing cloth so you don't melt your iron or your zipper. The back, I don't think I would touch it with an iron. If you feel like you need to, you can go ahead and cover it with some cotton, and then that'll be a good lining or some other kind of thing. But there you have it, friends. Cute little pouch for your business cards. And it's not wanting to fold right there, but it will over time. You can work on it. And there's all that room for you to embroider. If you were using something solid, you could put a cute name there, or the world is your oyster. I hope you like it. Thanks, everybody.